Class, I want to share with you a little bit about the upcoming week here. And so I want you to see the overview for grant writing this week. Um, it is available for you, but I just want to walk you through it to help you. So I wanted to start with something that I think is really simple, but it's powerful, especially regarding what we're doing this week. You can't get where you're going if you haven't looked at the map or mapped out the route. So that's exactly what we're doing this week in grant writing. We're not just writing something, we're planning with purpose. We're building something here that if a real funder was looking at it, they could get behind it, they could believe in it. So I want you to hear this part clearly. I far more about the process here than giving me some perfect final product. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to know that you're thinking about this, that you're walking through this process. Okay. So week 3 is where your proposal begins to take shape in a really meaningful way. You've already identified your problem. Now we have these essential questions we need to answer. Okay. So if you're looking at everything here, you see everything you have to read, everything that you have to do this week. But we have to answer these essential questions, and I'm flipping a little bit too quickly here. We have to answer the essential questions of where are you going? So those are your goals. How will you know that you're getting there? That's the objectives. And how are you going to make that happen? Because you ultimately want to win the money, win the grant. So I want you, looking very closely at that as you go through this week, because that's what we're doing. Okay. So let's start with goals. Okay. And Form 3 is all about mapping out your goals. I went a little too quickly there, but it's all about mapping out your goals. Okay. So goals are not tasks. That's the first thing that I need you to hear from me. They're not tasks. They're not checklists, and they're not vague hopes. They are big picture results that you hope that you're going to obtain here. So I want you to think of a goal as a destination on your GPS, on your phone, if you're doing Google Maps, whatever. It's the final outcome, the place you want to reach, or the final change that you want to see happen. Okay, so that's really important. Okay, so instruction to be able to do here is write 2 to 4 clear. And I want you to make sure that each of your goals reflects a result. So it's not an activity, but it's a result. Ask yourself, does this connect directly to my problem statement? Okay, everything has to connect back. So you're asking yourself that. So just take a minute and consider this. If my program worked perfectly and I was able to do everything I need to do, what would be different? That's how you know what your goal is. And that's how I want you to be able to define that and achieve that. Okay. So once we've got that figured out, now we have to think about objectives. So this is where students really struggle or often struggle, but that's okay. Struggle is okay. Productive struggle is actually important to this process. Objectives are specific, measurable steps that move you toward your goal. So again, if we're going back to the GPS or Google Maps or whatever, it gives you the little steps along the way. That's what that is. Okay, they're smaller, they're sharper, they're more precise. So goals are dreams, objectives are the deliverables, if that makes sense to you. So instructionally, your objectives should be measurable. Okay, can you track the progress on them? If you can track the progress on them, then you're doing it correctly. They need to include a timeline and they need to identify a specific population that you're working with. Okay, they clearly are going to lead you to a goal. Okay, so I want to challenge you here. If someone else read your objective, could they measure success without asking you questions? If they can't, then you need to revise this. If they can, you're good to go. Okay? So hopefully that part is working and making sense to you as we're doing this because this can feel complicated. Now, the last thing that we're looking at in all of this is we're also looking at methods. So your fourth slide in your forum is going to be a method. So this is where your reader, your funder, the person that's going to give you the money is going to lean in and they're going to ask you, okay, but how are you actually going to do this? So your methods section is your answer. It should walk your funder through the process, kind of a step-by-step process, not vaguely, not generally, but very, very clearly. So instructionally, your methods should align directly with your goals and objectives. Describe your specific activities or actions. Explain why you chose those activities or actions and show specifically who on your team is going to do those things. Okay, who's going to carry this out? Okay, it has to demonstrate that your plan is actually feasible. Because if it's not feasible, they're not going to fund it. Okay, so if your goals are the what, the methods are the how. Okay, so I want to break down exactly what you need to accomplish this week. We've got Form 3 in front of us here. So for Form 3, you're going to do a 4-slide map. Okay, you're going to create this short presentation in whatever method or way that you want to do that. But first slide is going to be your project overview. So that's going to be a title, name, what's the nonprofit's name, who's going to benefit from this. You can see that all pretty much clearly there. Slide 2 are your goals. So that's those 2 to 4 goals that you're going to reach. Slide 3 is your objective. So you're going to name what you plan to achieve. And slide 4, you're going to tell me how that's going to happen. So all of that is going to be posted. It needs to be posted by the 20th because that's the due date, 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday evening. Okay. Again, this is not about perfection. It's about clarity. So you're going to do this so that your classmates can read it, understand, give you some feedback, and then you're going to give feedback. So I want you to really be thoughtful in the way you construct it, but I also want you to be thoughtful when you're looking at what your classmates do. You want to give feedback that you would want to receive. And I always want you to be honest. Honesty is really important, but I also want you to really consider the feedback I'm giving. Is that feedback I'd like to receive? So that just kind of helps. Okay. The next thing I'm going to talk about are the worksheets. Okay. So for our worksheets, I want you to understand these are not busy work. They're thinking tools for you. You're going to use them to refine your goals, to strengthen your objective, and to clarify your methods. So you may very well want to do these worksheets before you ever do that forum post. If that's true, then you obviously need to get those done before Wednesday when the due date's, coming for you. But you might want to do that first so that you can better do your Forum 3 post, your initial post. So I'm just wanting you to, really think through that, but it's not busy work. So please don't think of it that way. But then finally, you're going to be working on Project 3B, and that's where everything kind of comes together. It converges. So you'll write your methods section, and typically we use APA for this. Okay, I'm open to other styles if you'd like to contact me about your comfort level, that kind of thing. That's an individual email meeting, something like that for us. But in Project B, your methods paper, you want to make sure that you're going to answer every single silent question a funder might ask, because they're really looking at you and saying, okay, you want my money, but why should I trust your plan? Okay. So I really want to pause here for a second, and I just want us to talk one to one, student, yeah, but not really student, but more as a you're a professional in this field. Because grant writing isn't just technical writing, it's strategic thinking, it's ethical communication, and it's advocacy for something that's really important to you. So you're learning how here to identify real problems that need real solutions. But more importantly than that, you need to design meaningful solutions, and then you have to communicate them convincingly. So that matters, which means that you, and the way you present yourself, the way that you think strategically, all of that, you matter greatly to this process. So I want you to be sure that you're paying attention to that as you write this methods section out. Now, what does that look like? Okay, you've got some review questions, answer those. Okay, but you're answering this in kind of an essay format. So I don't want you to think you're just going question by question. That's not what you're doing. But you are going to answer each of the questions in this and on this slide as you go. So be sure that you're paying attention to your formatting. Your formatting should be true APA style. Okay. But what I want you to specifically be aware of this week, okay, don't rush this. If you rush this, it's going to just really cause some frustration down the road. So I want you to write everything down, sit with it. You're probably going to have to sit with it, think about it, and then even revise it. So here's where you ask yourself hard questions, okay? And again, remember, you're not just completing an assignment for me, you're learning how to build something that could actually help people. I want to teach you to do that well. So I'm here to help you. So as you walk through this week, email me questions you have. Make an appointment to talk over concerns with me. I'm here to help you with that, and I want to. Let's make something meaningful out of this week. I'm praying for you. I'm here every step of the way. Have a great week, guys.